This week on the show, we have artist and streamer othatsraspberry. And if you're enjoying the show and want to help support it, make sure to check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/KojimaFreak.
I love that you have like a spoiler cheat sheet here showing which games you've played and which ones you're working on so that I don't accidentally ruin anything for you.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's mostly anything past 3.
Your like organization skills, my God. Like it's the whole operation.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of became one, so I had to be like, okay, I gotta figure out what I'm doing now.
So timeline-wise, you've played up until Metal Gear Solid 2. That's pretty much where you're at with this, right?
I suppose so, but I haven't played Peace Walker, so it's like I haven't played the whole thing. And I also haven't played Metal Gear 2, and I've played most of Metal Gear 1.
Gotcha.
It's all over the place.
That's a good place to be. I remember being in that part of the timeline, like absorbing that much of the canon, being like, all right, we're good so far. Okay.
Don't
Yeah.
feel bad at all. I got a friend who started with Metal Gear Solid 4, and I swear to God, he's
Oh.
one of the most knowledgeable fans I've ever met. Like reverse
Wow.
engineering stuff in the game. Dude's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, I guess it's not surprising, but like so many people have only played like 5, which I guess makes sense because it's like the most current one. But
Yeah.
it feels like the kind of series that you need to play all of them.
Yeah, you definitely get like a bigger picture, like the more of it that you play, and all like these like connecting bits start to kind of come together, and you're like, all right. But yeah,
Yeah, and as far as like I hear 5 is like least story stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like an
Yeah.
anti-Metal Gear in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the outlying entries. So
There was a somebody in the group chat put a statistic that was like Metal Gear has sold 58 million copies total since this date and this date, which suggests that it was like, what was it, like 500,000, 500,000 has sold in the past like 6 months to a year. I forget the exact stat. I'm thinking of that, like how much of that was like 4, how much of that was 5, because a lot of it sure as hell wasn't like 2 or 3.
yeah.
99% rising.
Thanks, Wes.
Hey, I'm Fingers.
Yo, it's Apache Smash.
Hey everyone, this is Days Ahead.
And I'm Nitroid. You're listening to the Kojima Frequency.
Like, what is even available right now? Just 5 and Rising?
I think they have Metal Gear 1 on GOG.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And an MGS one.
Yeah, MGS1
Yeah.
as well, yeah.
And 2.
Well, no, 2's gone still.
Oh, right. Wait, shit, I thought it was, oh my God, I thought it was just the Legacy Collection. Oh, why am I so naive?
It hurts so deep.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird spot to be in as like a player trying to come into it. Like, it's like, okay, so how many consoles do I need to buy? Like, they're not really making it easy for you. I mean, I think I just recently saw that tweet where you were traveling 300 miles to pick up a PS3 just for Metal Gear Solid 4.
And then also, like, having to set it up for streaming is like a freaking
Oh
nightmare.
yeah, you got to get that extra. It's like an extra
The splitter.
yeah,
Yeah.
HDCP or whatever
whole-
it's called.
You gotta be dedicated.
Yeah, I didn't even know what that was. And everyone was telling me you need to get something that strips it. And I just bought a capture card that does it automatically. And it was pure luck. It was pure
Oh,
luck. I had no
okay.
idea what that was.
Yeah, I have like an external Elgato, so I don't think it does anything fancy.
Yeah, there was like a specific one that you had to buy too. I remember everybody was like directing towards that one for a while.
Yeah, I have no idea.
They need to just port these games already so people don't have to travel 300 miles and then get fucking all these adapters and converters and stuff. It's really sad where we're at right now.
Should have a fandom drinking game where every time somebody, usually us, says, hey, they need to port these games, just take a drink.
I've been playing that game. Whoops.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's not even for me at this point. Like I'm all good. I got my second PS3 now. We've got the emulation, and I own all the other games already too. So it's like we're all set. But it's like I'm worried about the people that want to get into it, and I don't know. They definitely have made it like a bunch of hurdles to get through.
Yeah, if I had a slightly better computer, I could probably just emulate it, but I emulated 2 on the PS3 and it went pretty good except the end. I had to play the final boss fight in like slow motion.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
The emulation's not perfect yet, so that's a thing, yeah, for sure.
Well,
Like did you say you played it on the PS3? Like, so you played it like through backwards compatibility from the PS2 version?
No, I played the HD collection.
oh, wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
You were using a PS3 emulator to play
Yes.
the HD collection. Okay, I got you now.
For 2.
Oh, that's rough.
Most of the games you can emulate well enough if you kind of know the tricks, but they're not obvious. With 2 and 3, honestly, the better option is to use a PS2 emulator. And
Yeah, that's what I did subsistence for 3 and that went well.
it can get a little rough though, because if you use the current, what they call the release build of the emulator, the one that's like right front and center on the website, it's okay. But if you get their less stable sort of like development builds where they're constantly experimenting and adding new stuff like every night, that runs way faster.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't know enough about those things, but someone gave me settings at least to make it run better.
Yeah, it's getting there. 4 is really the only outlier right now, because you could buy literally like the most expensive gaming computer money can buy, and it's still gonna like drop to 40 frames a second during like one scene early in the game.
Okay.
Yeah, that first section is rough. Like, I think there's just so much shit going on in that part. that
Yeah,
The way it's coded and I guess has to
Yeah,
render it
you'll-
all simultaneously. It's just too much.
it drops to I think 16 frames a second on the
Oh,
PS3.
God.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I got my PS3 now, so I'm fine.
Take good care of it. It'll I had one recently, like the past year or two, like just straight up getting like an update loop, and then it was just like, well, I can't use this anymore. So
Jeez. Yeah. Hopefully it stays okay because I'm borrowing it from a friend.
okay. Yeah, but going back to like the availability on stuff with the Metal Gear games, like I don't know, they definitely need to port over Metal Gear 2 or get that on something, because that just seems like doable. There's no historical footage or anything we got to worry about with that. Like, can you think of a reason that one's not there yet, Nitroid?
Not really.
Lack of demand.
Could be a lack of availability. I have a theory, and I have absolutely no evidence for it, so feel free to throw it out the window. But it's like no mystery that for most of these games, if you know where to look online, you can find them through less than legitimate avenues. And I wonder sometimes if companies like GOG or whoever who get the rights for these games don't start out by getting them from Konami. You know,
Okay.
when they're trying to figure out like can we do this or not before we make our pitch. You know,
The version of Metal Gear that's on GOG, like what version is it? Is it the one that was on Subsistence?
Yeah, and those were essentially based on a mobile port that came out for feature phones first, like little
Was
like
it-
flip phones and those kind of
Was
things.
it in English? The
No.
mobile port? Okay.
I don't know enough about the technical side of this, and and that friend I mentioned earlier off air is probably going to yell at me if I make too many claims without having all the information. So I'm going to try and keep it light. That version of the game is sort of more readily available, and Metal Gear 2, the mobile port of that, which was again on these little flip phones and texting phones back in the day before we had smartphones. That was sort of the first version that used the new Shinkawa style portraits. I don't know if you're aware of that difference or not.
Yeah.
So the version that was in Subsistence is built off of that one. And so that mobile version is like impossible to find now. It was available for like a very short time, and as far as I know, nobody backed it up, and outside of Konami, I'm not sure where you could get it now. So maybe the lack of availability.
Those mobile games are like one of the worst things as far as preservation goes. So many of them are just lost.
And this one was done through like this obscure phone game store that only ran for like a couple of
Oh,
years or something. So
of
like
course.
it was like specially encrypted and you know, it's just not available now.
Yeah.
But the version that's on the HD collection and Subsistence and the Legacy collection, like those are both there. Like why are we
Yeah.
resorting to like the mobile? I don't know. It's
Because the ones for mobile are essentially written in Java and they are written in Java and they can be put on just about anything with you know, fairly minor modification. But the ones on PS2, I believe, and this is where my friend's going to yell at me, I believe they were rewritten for the PS2 to run, you know, natively. They're not just in a wrapper, you know, they're not being
Gotcha.
emulated. So that's not going to be as simple. But again, you know, Konami's got the keys to all of this. It's really up to them.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I will issue an hour-long correction on our next episode for everything I just got wrong.
So you've been playing through Metal Gear 1, or you called it original recipe. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I was watching your stream too the other day, and you know, you're kind of talking just about like some like quality of life updates that you know that game could use. Like you were talking about like the key cards just being that whole system in that game is awful. Like they definitely
Yeah, the key cards are really like if they just updated that, it'd be like a whole lot better. It's already, but like overall, I was really impressed by how enjoyable an experience it is, especially because generally games from that era I don't find particularly fun, but I've been having a really good time with it. And yeah, it's just like the key card thing is really the main like annoyance.
Yeah, it gets a little better in Metal Gear 2.
Oh, you are going to love 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That game is so good.
Yeah, I hear really good things about it, so I'm super excited to get to it.
Yeah, it's in my top 3 in the series for sure.
Wow.
It's great. Awesome music.
Nice.
And the enemy AI gets a little bit better than Metal Gear 1 with them just like
Instead
just
of
like
just like they
panicking.
just flee, just run in circles, and hopefully they can shoot you.
Have you ever noticed that, Nitro? Like whenever you first get spotted, the enemies are just like ah! And they just like
they just freak out like they don't know what to do.
Yeah, like shit, it's Snake.
We weren't trained for this.
He's got a gun. Fuck.
What are you talking about? We've all got guns.
Yeah, and I just love also the line. Does the line of sight change at all? Because I love how the line of sight is like a direct. It's like a 1 pixel line directly in front of them. So like I was walking up to like right in front of their face, but slightly to the left, and then just like punching them.
Yeah, it's if I remember right, you don't see it on the radar, but it is conical like it is in MGS1.
Oh, interesting. Wow, that's fancy.
What in the first one?
No, in
No,
the
in the
second
second.
one.
Oh, okay. In the second one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was like,
Yeah,
the
you
first one.
just can't see it, you know, because
Gotcha.
they draw the cone on the radar in
Yeah.
the later games, but in MG2, it, you know, for obvious reasons they couldn't.
Wow.
But it's fun. You get to see like how they built each system sort of on top of the previous one and watch that progression. It's cool. That's why I tell people to play in
Yeah.
release order, because you get to see that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I was just generally like impressed with the first one, like how much of the core mechanics are already there. I was like, I was even surprised that there was like the cardboard box, because that seems like such a
Yeah.
like a modern joke, but it's like no, it was always there. It's just in the DNA.
See, I think they need to bring back the giant rolling pins.
I hate
what Metal
those.
Gear
No,
needs.
those are like the way I've died the most. It's like the most evil government weapon that's ever been invented.
Hardest
And then there
boss.
was one room that there was like a bottomless pit and a giant rolling pole. So it's like I like got squished and then I fell to my death.
Yeah, I'd love to see that requisition order.
Because I played the 2D games later, and I couldn't believe that they just dropped that and didn't even bring a reference to it or anything like in Metal Gear Solid. Like I can't believe that they just got rid of it.
You had like the disappearing floors, but no rolling pins. Yeah.
I would have 100% had the rolling pin.
Yeah.
Even if it was a joke, even if you just saw like one and it didn't move, like I would have kept it.
It's a bunch of barrels on their sides just sitting there.
Yeah.
Snake just has like a panic attack when he sees it for some reason. What's going on? I don't know, man. I just don't like the way those things look.
That would have been hilarious. Like if it was just stationary
Yeah.
and you go near it and there's like a shock and it just doesn't move. That would have been awesome.
He's trying to cook a meal one night and just looks over at the kitchen utensils and starts sweating.
I do love that they're called the rolling pins.
I try not to think too hard about the fact that if in MGS1 that's supposed to be like a government facility, they just decided, hey, in the basement, let's just put a bunch of death holes that you could fall into.
Well, in the Metal Gear 1, the worst thing is the building that has the up elevator and the down elevator. It's like, who designed this?
I hate that. Yeah.
Like on opposite sides of the building too.
Because if you accidentally press up, you're just
you're
going around.
I've just been I was going in a lot of circles because of that.
It's so funny too because the Famicom / Nintendo version of that game has most of the stuff, but it's mixed around and changed and a lot more broken in ways, and so
you can sequence break it, like.
Oh yeah, it's just like the frustrations that you have in the MSX version are amplified by the NES version because now they're broken.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to at least try the NES version. I probably won't finish it, but out of just curiosity's sake.
Good music.
And then Snake's Revenge is just like its own thing. That's right. Who made it?
That I don't remember his name, but it was another developer who just was tasked with making it. And if I remember right, Snake's Revenge didn't even get a Japanese release. It was US only.
Wasn't that an Ultra game?
Yeah, it was under the Ultra license, so they could get around the restrictions.
Yeah. So that was basically a Konami like sub company that they made to get around, because they used to put like limits on how many games you could put out a year. And so Konami was like, well, what if we just have two companies releasing games? And yeah, that's what Ultra was apparently.
I was thinking about that article that Snake Soup did at some point about the Ultra games and just how absolute garbage they were. Sorry, go ahead, continue.
Oh no, I was just gonna elaborate that Nintendo had a rule at the time that third parties could only publish 5 games a year.
Yeah.
And so Konami, I'm pretty sure, wasn't the only one who did this. But they made subsidiaries so that they could extend it to 10 games a year. They actually had another one called Palcom that was exclusive to the UK.
Well, yeah, maybe they had Ultra over here. Did you guys, is Ultra games over there at all, Apache?
I mean, like, that's not really my era, so I wouldn't know, even if it is the case.
So, is that, okay, I'm wondering is that rule the reason why we got games like Action 52?
Those are unlicensed completely as far as I'm aware. And you can tell because if you ever see cartridges that don't match the Nintendo style of cartridge.
Oh yeah, like Tengen, or was it Tengen? Yeah, those companies were definitely working outside of the laws. They're like, okay, fine, we'll just make our own cartridge. Fuck you.
Yeah, those are essentially unauthorized or unlicensed Nintendo games. That's how they had like all the Bible games that they made.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are just people. I don't know how they did it. I mean, I guess when you're an engineer and you're working on the hardware like that, you're just like, all right, let's start writing an assembly, and they just make it and make their own cases and make their own chips and put them out there. But there were enough of them that did this that I guess Nintendo just couldn't really handle it.
I mean, they're still trying to handle shit, but it's not really working.
No, now they're just going after indie devs.
I was telling them earlier, I've just been like radicalized by the lack of preservation by companies.
Right.
And I just got myself a nice like 8 terabyte drive, and I stocked it up real good. And then like it's so funny, I literally just finished The Sopranos, and then fucking Warner Brothers is like, women don't watch The Sopranos, women don't watch HBO shows. So that was nice.
Over here watching Discovery stuff. That's what they do.
Yeah.
It's such a bad like reveal on their part. Well, that's what like it was making me wonder, like they're doing all this stuff, and like with Warner Brothers, they canceled fucking Batgirl just for a tax write-off. Like, has that been done for like a game yet? Where they're just like, they have something finished and they're just like, nah, and then just like shelve it?
Yes, but not for that reason. It's more like we want to redo it.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I know of like plenty of development hell stories. I don't know of any of those with a tax write-off incentive.
Like, who is the Yua Bowl of video games?
They got like 15 to 20 million for like this tax write-off for so like they, instead of like pushing it out and making whatever profit they would have, they're like, 15 to 20 mil is fine, we'll settle on that. And I think they were worried about like, just like branding and like reputation or something at that point. But
there is a rumor that there was a certain game developer taking huge tax like incentive money from a Dutch government, right, to create games. I mean, I don't think we've ever spoken about him before, but I'm sure there was one guy who was supposed to be doing something like that. I'm not sure. It's all rumor, so I don't know.
No, we should probably abandon this line of dialogue. Was that too on the nose?
Yeah, you kind of blew the box on that one.
Oh, that was way better. I concede on that one. Damn.
Oh no, I thought that was actually a good sort of like 1-2 where it was like, was I too on the nose? And I was like, you blew the box on that.
Yeah, they got real quiet, didn't they?
Yep. So it seems like you got into Metal Gear like pretty recently. Was there something that online, or was there just anything that like got your interest or something in Metal Gear, Maddie? Or
It's weird because I don't know what specifically sparked me to play it. Because it's like, I mean, it's a series I've been meaning to play for a long time just because it's so, iconic and important.
Mm-hmm.
And I started in March of this year, and I think I was just like, oh, I think it'll be a good game to stream. And I think one of the reasons it took me so long to play was, one, I'm really bad at stealth games.
Mm-hmm.
And two, probably in like high school or something, I tried a Splinter Cell game. And I think I kind of conflated the two because they were like the two kind of major stealth series.
Yeah.
And so I tried Splinter Cell and I was like, oh, I don't like this at all because it's like, it's this kind of really serious stealth game. And so I think I ended up kind of just conflating the two in my head, and I was like, oh, I probably wouldn't like Metal Gear. But yeah, I don't know what specifically sparked me to finally start playing it, but yeah, it was March is when I started the first Metal Gear Solid.
It's a good place to jump in.
Did you have
Metal Gear is a lot more arcade than Splinter Cell. It's a little easier to get into.
Yeah, it's a lot more forgiving, and I can get through with being really bad at stealth.
So much goofier in tone too. Sometimes you're just like,
yeah.
Okay. Like,
yeah, no, that's definitely what is so appealing about it.
I do think it's an extremely forgiving game. I mean, a lot of us played it when we were kids, and I was trash at games, and
yeah,
I could get through them.
No, I was very surprised and very grateful for that because I mess up a lot and I still manage to get through just fine.
It's funny to hear Apache say it's forgiving because he's literally been playing these games blindfolded.
I was bad at them, like when I first played them. Everyone
well,
is,
I think
right?
What's cool is that you can really kind of choose your level of difficulty. Like if you want to do a no-kill run, it's it's a lot more challenging, and you can choose to do that, or you can be like me and kill 200 people.
It's very granular.
Yeah.
What was sort of that like catalyst that made you go, hey, I'm going to start drafting out these drawings? And has that worked into like a system? Because it's like I said, you're sort of like this one man machine, or one woman machine, I'm sorry. That's like not only kind of laying out this sort of alternative series that we've all been sort of going by and enjoying, but you're also sort of, it's almost reactive to the community, right? So, gosh, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just, I guess I'm trying to understand, how did it start? And it seems like it's sort of a workflow has come out of it. How did that workflow develop?
Yeah, so I've always kind of just doodled my reactions to stuff. Like my Twitter's always been that way, and whatever I'm going through at the time, I'll just kind of draw my reactions and my playthroughs. But with Metal Gear, it just kind of really took off. I mean, I have my archives up on my Twitter page, and if you go through it, you'll see that like one didn't really catch me a lot as far as giving me fodder for drawings, because there's only a couple, but then you notice like if once I hit 2, it just kind of goes off the rails, and there's just something about how ridiculous it is and how interesting and lovable the characters are that just really became fodder for me. And also I think there's something too about the play style of Metal Gear that you're supposed to be this like cool super spy, but if you're not good at the game like I am, you just look like a big dingus. And so like that like mixture, it all just kind of came together really well, and it just gave me a bunch of ideas. And yeah, and then I just draw what happens and what I play through and things that come to mind. And then by the time I hit Snake Eater, people seem to really be, I don't know, starving for content or something.
You've got a real intuition for the humor of it. There was one I saw earlier. I hadn't seen this comic until today, and it just about had me on the floor. Ocelot shopping for ice cream,
Yeah.
and he's looking at like the peanut butter, and then his arm just grabs the strawberry and throws it in the cart.
Yeah, I love just the idea of Ocelot fighting with Liquid's arm. He has just this evil British arm that is like making all these decisions for him.
Their day to day.
Like some people have said when they've like seen my stuff, they were like, "Oh, I could have sworn you were a longtime fan because
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
yeah, which is just like it's so flattering, and just I guess people just seem to think that I kind of grasp I don't know, the essence of the series, I suppose.
There's one you did with it's Snake climbing the ladder in it's Naked Snake climbing the ladder in Metal Gear Solid 3, and his stomach's growling with the music playing. Because I speedrun the game, we always have no stamina there. So
Yeah.
I have done that ladder hundreds of times with the stomach growling to the music, and it just resonated with me so much. And it was like finding out afterwards that you'd only just played the game. I was like, I can't believe she saw it exactly how I saw it, because like I almost like picture that in my head all the time. That was one of my favorite ones you've ever done.
Yeah, and I mean, ones like that, it's literally just what happens. You know, it's supposed to be this really, this really powerful moment with the music and this unending ladder, but then his stomach just kept rumbling, and I'm like, oh, Snake, you're ruining it.
I feel like it adds background to the music. It's like part of the song.
Well, atmosphere.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is you did recently. It's like with Eva and Snake Eater, and they're like after they kiss, and she's it's just like a funny observation. It's like, yeah, his breath would probably be like awful at that point. She's like, what have you been eating? It's just rotten bats. What rotten bats? Like
Yeah, it's just I guess it's just like basic observational stuff. And I
Yeah.
think especially too, I like my version of Naked Snake is like infinitely more stupid than he really is.
Well, you picked up on the fact that, like, and you're not alone in this, is that people kind of look at Naked Snake almost as sort of a simpleton
Yeah.
in comparison to Solid Snake because of his demeanor and how more jovial he is. And so, like, you latched onto that and, like, you got it right away.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it just comes through, I think, part of the way just because of how Boss treats him. It's just like he's just like a baby child, and I mean, he's like what? He's like 28 or something, but he's like constantly being thrown around.
The rock, paper, scissors one.
The game just like really lends itself to this, this big gruff man who's being tossed around by this woman, and so it just kind of lends him to being this little baby boy. And also just some of the codecs, because like I think like I kept trying to get certain ones with paramedic, but then she kept just explaining to me how to eat food over and over again. And I'm like 15 hours into the game, and she's like, "Do you remember how to eat food?" And I'm like, "Yes, thank you."
Gosh, I feel like my favorite ones are like it's not so much like a specific moment, but more like a vibe. The one that always cracks me up, and this part in MGS2 is always so ridiculous to me. I don't know why, but when they're defusing the bombs, and there's that comic of riding on the toilet, and like Snake is trying to explain, "Hey, I just defused the bomb. How's it going over there?" And the little face he makes, the little like chibi face, just cracks me up every time.
Yeah.
We're just gonna gush about your comics for the next half hour.
Yeah, no, I can do more. I can do more.
I know. This is so embarrassing. I don't even. Well, okay, this is actually a good segue because some of my favorite ones also have been like sort of reactive ones to moments in the community. So like when Apache beat Fat Man, for example, and like Raiden was kind of like he was blindfolded, so Raiden was kind of like diffusing from the side. So you made that comic of like Fat Man just like dead in the background and Raiden just kind of like just sort of like innocently.
You sent me that while I was in a work meeting, and so I had to be faced with like beautiful art made of something stupid I did in the game while trying to like do a serious job and be normal. It was so funny.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's great about how simple my drawings are is I can just kind of crap them out in like 10 or 15 minutes if I want to. So yeah, being able to doing the ones based on speed runs, like I did some when D-Limes did his GDQ run of MGS2, and it's just so fun to draw the silly way that we play these games, these cool super soldier, and he's just being a goofball. So it just, I don't know, it just really lends itself to humor easily.
Actually had a question from one of our Patreon supporters. KaidanTonio was asking, like, what tools and software do you use when you're making your art?
So I mostly use an iPad with Procreate.
Mhm.
And I use like modified pencil brushes most of the time. There's a few, like, I don't know if people notice this. There's kind of like a handful of different styles I do. But yeah, it's just Procreate and a normal iPad. It's not even an iPad Pro or anything. So, you can get started for not that much money if you want to draw little squiggly boys.
Speaking of going back to the collaboration, I do also like sort of your back and forth with Funny Wes.
Yeah, she's incredible. Every time, like, it's just like, I don't know, there's like a handful of people have voiced my comics, including her, and every time someone voices my comics, it's just like, it's insane. It makes me so happy because it gives them so much life.
Yeah, we love Wes. We've had Wes on the show.
Hi, Wes.
Shout out, Wes.
Wes is literally in the audience right now.
Is that her calling in?
Oh, jeez.
How'd she get this number? Got a raised hand, actually. I'm about to say, hold on. Should we let her in?
We've never done this before. Should we do it?
I don't care.
You want to hop in for a quick sec? All right, I'll answer it. What's up, Wes?
Hi.
I thought that was the wave button.
Oh, now you're here. Now you're stuck here.
That is I got some shit to say button.
Here, hold on. Let me get like an actual like mic real quick.
Got a mid-show call in.
First caller. Oh my god.
Oh wow. Phoning a friend.
Okay, do I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Hey, what's up? Longtime fan, first time caller. You can cut all this out. I thought that was a wave button. Please forgive me. I thought it was like spaces where you press the wave.
Yo, we were ready.
Oh, there's no way in hell we're cutting this.
It's all permanently.
This
here
is canon.
God
forever.
damn it. Gosh, fucking please do. This isn't my episode. What is this, a crossover?
You just kicked me out. It's the Wes episode now.
Do you have any questions
No,
for
fuck
Maddie,
that.
Wes?
No. I don't have like questions. I will say that talking to you, I guess like audibly, your stuff is incredible. It's really cool. I've been a fan of these games for like a while, like since I was like in middle school. So it's awesome to like see like a fresh perspective, and also a perspective that's like just so fucking cool.
Oh my god. You're
I haven't
very
been able
sweet.
to watch that. I haven't been able to watch many of your streams because I've been busy with projects. But the ones that I have seen, I watched the end of 3, and that was really cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. I was happy to see you in the audience.
This is so sweet.
I know. You're
I'm
adorable.
glad you mixed up the wave button.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Happy accident. No, thank you so much for voicing some of my drawings. It makes me so happy. Your
I
voices are incredible. I love your Otacon voice so much. It's so nerdy. I love it.
I make a lot of videos about like the future titles, I guess.
Mhm.
Have I spoiled any of them? I hope
No.
not.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Cause I want to watch like your videos, but then I'm like, oh, these are like all like rising, so I'll watch them in like 5 months.
Yeah, 4 is like spoilers the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten a few, but I don't think I've gotten a lot of big ones. It's hard avoiding spoilers for games that are whatever years old.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People just be like, "Well, it came out freaking 15 years ago. You should have played it already." It's like, come on, work
Yeah.
On what?
with me here. Yeah.
On what?
And you're like, get out my fucking stream. So many other so many people like just want to come into like Metal Gear streamers or, like Twitch chats and spoil the game. It's like a running thing at this point.
Spoil the game or tell them how to play.
Yeah.
I generally have had a really good experience because they're kind of like the perfect games to stream going the first time because there's so many like hidden codecs and so many Easter eggs that I would never have thought to find. And so streaming them and having like a really active chat kind of helped me find things. It's just made the experience even better.
Yeah, it's good. I find that, people can, I don't want to say there's two tones, but people can approach those secrets two ways. One, they can be very aggressive with it, like, hey, you have to play a very specific way. If you don't if you don't check out this particular like secret, like your dog shit. But then there are other people who kind of lead you in very, very cleverly. And those bring out the great moments, right?
Yeah, no, generally they've been super helpful. I've had like maybe a couple people try to kind of handhold me through things, but generally overall it's just like, oh, just do your codec here or Metal Gear Solid 3 it was like, oh, press R1 here or things like that.
That's actually really nice. I'm glad it's been a
Yeah,
positive experience.
Yeah.
and it's been really good. And also like I've gotten comments on my VODs too because honestly people have been almost unhelpful as far as directing me in playing the games because like in the first Metal Gear Solid, I went up and down those staircases literally like 15 times because I kept going the wrong way. And no one was saying
no.
anything. And so I was just like, I'd like go all the way up a staircase and I'm like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. And I go all the way back down and I'm like, wait, this isn't where I'm supposed to be either. And it was just like hours of me going up and down the staircases.
That's really surprising because usually Metal Gear streams are almost like when you go to see Rocky Horror Picture Show in the theater, where like everybody's in sync and everybody knows every beat of the movie and every joke. And
I was thinking about like the room with throwing the spoons at the screen.
It seemed almost like half of the chat was just as lost as I was. And I'd like get to the top of the staircase and then they were like, oh, I thought you were in the other building. And I was like, no. So, yeah, we were all just kind of lost together.
I really want to catch your streams, but because you're in Japan, like the hours that you stream at are so bad for me. And like doing this podcast is pretty bad for me, but
yeah, I'm sure the time zones are really frustrating because it's like if I want to stream for like America, I have to stream at like 10 in the morning. And then if I want to stream at like a normal time for me, like in the evening, it's like only Japan is awake and everyone else is like asleep. So
Okay, funny story about like how I figured out you're from Japan was because not from like a bio or anything, but that comic where you're like buying the Lego Solidus. And I was like, there's no way that's $1,500.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the benefits about living here is merchandise is generally a lot cheaper.
I was going to say your merch game, like that was one of the bullet points I wanted to put in. Your merch game is on top and I'm really jealous. And it's also been a great experience to kind of look through. I noticed you also happen to find like the Metal Gear Gunpla, which is we like had to go to the UAE to find that. So
oh my god, yeah. Well, I think they actually I don't know if it's still up there, but I think Amazon JP recently restocked it. So
yeah,
they ship they ship worldwide, so I think they're actually easy to get now.
Yeah, we all ordered it before that second run came along.
Oh,
Then
that
everybody got them.
sucks.
We're like, shit.
This really
I
sketch
hate when
retailer.
that happens. Oh man.
Yeah, I am also jealous.
I think one of the most surprising things is people have realized that Keraton was like an actual character and not just the thing in Metal Gear Solid, because he was like invented by Konami like in 1997 or 1998 by Konami's Toy Branch. And so there's like a bunch of Keraton stuff you can buy.
Oh wow, I didn't know
Gakko
that.
too, right? They were like companions.
Yeah, both of them. And there's like picture books featuring both of them. And yeah, just like a lot of, there's like soap dispensers and pencils and towels and just like a bunch of stuff with his little face on it.
I'm gonna order a bunch of those and just say it's for my kids. No, I'm also jealous of the merch game here because I've been saying forever that my wife and I are going to take a vacation to Japan, and when we do, I'm just going to bring an extra empty suitcase because God knows how much I'm going to spend
Yeah.
when I get there.
Definitely. That's always the way to do it. That's how I tell people to come every time, because it's insane how accessible some stuff is. Even just like t-shirts, like the Uniqlo t-shirts. I think I have 10 Metal Gear t-shirts now.
Oh my
Right.
gosh! You know how hard those were to get over here?
I know. I feel so like I
I
feel
had one.
Well, if you ever need help getting some, just let me know.
Yeah, you gotta be our like back end, our side guy.
It hurts.
I got like 4 shirts for like $12.
Are you? Oh my God! They're like $50 a piece here.
And she wears them with the beret. It's so good.
Ugh. I'm just gonna go over and buy a bunch of soundtracks.
Yeah, except though I don't
impossible to get 'em.
CDs are expensive here though, but I'm sure they're less expensive than anywhere else.
I've been looking, like there's a couple of less common Police Knots and Snatcher albums that are like at least $200 even in Japan.
Yeah.
No, I bought soundtracks for this game Flower, Sun and Rain, and there's like 2 separate ones, and one of them's always like $50 and then one of them goes like for $200 to $300. So
Ugh.
CDs for some reason are, I mean, they're like their base prices are already really high in Japan. Like they're usually $30 to $40 instead of like $10.
Oh wow!
And so then it's like it just compounds when they get older.
Do you know why they're that much higher?
I don't know. It's just always been that way. CDs and DVDs are both really expensive in Japan.
It's definitely not like a cost-based thing. Like when I use like my manufacturer, I think I can get like a CD for like $1.50 per, like, you know, that's like for cost. Like for the whole thing with the jacket and everything, like the art.
Licensing or something?
Yeah,
That's
I
probably
have
it.
no idea, but it's yeah, that's just like the standard. Like even like music CDs are like $30 or $40. So
Whoa!
yeah, I don't know what. It's just always been that way. Because I remember when I first came to Japan in high school, and I like wanted to get like, you know, like a J-pop CD or something, and it's like, oh, this is like $30. Why is it so expensive?
So you were living the dream in high school.
Yeah, well, I came here a couple times. My high school had a sister city program, so we did like a short 3-week exchange. And yeah, coming the first time when you're in high school is overwhelming.
Yeah, I believe it.
Can't even imagine.
I know. It's just I'm so sick of Japan. They need to like open their borders because I want so many people to visit, and it's just
I was under the impression that they started letting people in. Did they not?
they did, but like you have to go on these designated tour packages, so you don't have any
Oh,
freedom. It's like
jeez.
getting a tour in like North Korea
Oh!
or something.
Oh wait, this is
I
the
didn't wanna
thing where
say
they.
it.
I read about this. They like chauffeur you around everywhere, right?
Yeah, and so it's like no one wants to do that. And there's like
Yeah,
this
that sounds awful.
stupid CNN article recently that's like, why isn't anyone going to Japan? And it's like, why do you think?
God, that reminds me of like the Tiny Toons movie, like when they go to the fucking theme park and they just ride like the monorail around and they're like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, fuck
Yeah.
that.
But we didn't do anything. All we did was ride around on the monorail.
Yeah, no, it sucks.
I think though, like this, like when we're in like the worst wave of
Fox.com.
we've ever had, but people are finally starting to kind of be like, okay, we can't like restrict everything forever. Because I mean, like the current way they have it is like, so I teach English at a middle school, and I was in contact with someone with
FOXHOUNDERS.
and so I had to go home and isolate, and I had to take 2
FOXHOUNDERS.
tests, which were both negative, and then I had to isolate for a week just because I was in contact with someone.
Whoa.
So yeah,
So they're not screwing around.
no, but I think they're finally starting to realize that they kind of need to chill out a bit because nobody can live like this.
And the yen is like dropping, the value
Oh
of the
my
yen's dropping
God,
to the
it's
floor, isn't it?
awful. Which is a good thing. Like if you're buying stuff through Amazon JP or anything like that, it's a really good time if you're.
Which I'm totally not doing.
So good for the merch buying.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I mean, like I've been trying to get a PS5 from Amazon JP, but you have to like do this whole stupid lottery system. But like if
Oh,
I
that
buy
sucks.
one in USD from Amazon JP, it's only like $400 instead of 500 because the yen is so bad right now.
Holy
Wow.
crap.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a great time to buy stuff from Japan.
I'm gonna have to get that Death Stranding PC case.
You were talking about Police Knots and Snatcher earlier. Have you do you have any plans to play any of those other like non-Metal Gear Kojima games, and or Death
Yeah.
Stranding included that?
Yeah, definitely. I want to check out basically everything. Like even I was recently listening to a podcast about Boktai,
Mhm.
Yes.
and there's a lot of like Metal Gear DNA in that as well. And like I'm a huge Suda 51 fan, and Suda did like a Snatcher sequel,
Mhm.
kind of like radio drama called Sedatcher.
Mhm.
And there's kind of similar DNA, but yeah, and also like I do want to play Death Stranding eventually, and it's just like but at the moment it's like I still have like 15 Metal Gear games to go
Yeah,
through,
yeah.
so it'll be a while.
You got a lot. Don't sleep on Zone of the Enders either. That is
Yeah,
so underrated.
someone gifted me on Steam the second one, and people said that generally the second one is kind of the good one. I don't know if I
Well,
should check out the other ones or not.
I think it's worth at least playing 1 and 2.
Okay.
I mean, there's really only 3 technically. So, and the
Okay.
third one is sort of it's like it's a Game Boy Advance like tactical RPG. Like it plays
Oh,
kind of like Fire Emblem in a weird way, you
Okay.
know. But 1 and 2, I mean, there is a continuing story there. The what I recommend doing, and there's a decent amount of stuff out there, but there's an OVA called Idolo that takes place before the first game. It's really good. Watch that, and it'll sort of set up the first game and add a lot of context to it that makes it way more enjoyable. The first game is kind of mechanically rough. You can tell they were sort of figuring stuff out, and there's a joke about this game actually that a lot of Metal Gear fans know, and it's because when this game came out, they bundled the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo with it. The joke was that if you bought the MGS2 demo, you got Zone of the Enders for free.
Ah, I see.
And most people didn't end up playing it for long, but it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's rough, but it's good.
But so the first game was PS2?
Yep, they both were.
Okay. And then they ported the second game to Steam.
Right. They did actually do an HD collection on PS3 and 360. So
Okay.
you can get them. You can get 1 and 2 that way.
Okay,
Uh,
cool.
They've got the VR.
Yeah. But yeah, the VR version that came out most recently is the best version of the second game to play, bar none.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's just like so many games. Like this has like added like 30 more games for me to play. It's very exciting, but it's also very overwhelming.
It's a good problem to have. It's got a nice backlog there.
As a kid, like I loved the original Ape Escape, and now I'm kind of like I should just play through all 3 Ape Escapes and then finish it off with Metal Gear.
Yeah.
That's
So,
great.
I'm just adding.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. I've been reading the comics, but I haven't seen any of your streams. Are you playing these games in English or Japanese?
English.
Okay, what made you decide to do it that way?
I mean, my Japanese is middling. It's like intermediate level, and
okay.
I feel like the English is kind of more iconic anyway, as far as like the voice acting goes. I've heard good things about the
Yeah.
Japanese as well, but I hear that. I mean, I just feel that like David Hayter and everything it's just such an iconic part of Metal Gear.
Yeah, Kojima was so fond of the English dub for the first game that the integral version of it, which is like a director's cut of sorts, um, the all the text in the game is in Japanese, but it used the English dub as opposed to the
Oh.
Japanese dub.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But integral only came out in Japan, technically.
Kind of similar to like No More Heroes is the same way, where the English is the default and it only got Japanese dubs after
Oh, I didn't
that.
know that.
Yeah, it the first game only got a the first game got a Japanese dub when it got re-released on something. And then the third game is now just getting a Japanese dub after it's being ported to other
Oh wow.
consoles. So yeah, so it's kind of that similar vibe where it's those Japanese game developers who are so obsessed with Western
Yeah.
culture,
'Cause-
Western movies and stuff.
That opinion actually influenced the release of MGS2. It was it came out in the US first and then came out in Japan
Interesting.
shortly after.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
It's okay. They got the worst version. They got the beta version of the game.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of
the-
broken.
The original
Oh.
release is full of bugs.
Oh, nice.
I don't speak very good Japanese at all, and I have tried to learn. But I do recommend the Japanese version of 3, especially. There's some great differences in the way that the characters are portrayed. And I've spoken about this on the podcast before, but definitely, if you understand Japanese, it'd be cool to see your experience of playing that.
Yeah, sure. No, I want to check out the Japanese voices at least a little bit. Cuz yeah, it's interesting how it kind of different a vibe you can get based on the language.
I've heard similar things about MGS4 and how the Japanese script is far more poetic than the English localization. So a lot
Yeah.
gets sort of lost in translation.
Yeah.
And even characters like Raiden, like in 2, just like totally different portrayals, like, tone wise and delivery,
I did not know for the longest time that the sort of rapport between Emma and Raiden in MGS2 in the Japanese version is far more flirtatious than it is in the English version, where it seems like Raiden's just kind of annoyed with her.
Oh, interesting.
I hate to bring this up, but there's a very similar situation like that in Final Fantasy XIV. Fan favorite character. In English, his death scene is just very kind of neutral. But in Japan, it's very obvious, like it's very romantic pass before he passes away.
Oh, man.
I think you know what I'm talking about, Apache.
Yeah. I was going to mention as well, the storytelling in 2 is delivered better through the Japanese, from what I understand, with the same voice actor that does the voice of Meryl, plays the voice of Olga.
Oh, right.
Interesting.
When Snake first sees her on the tanker, you can't see her face, but you can hear her. And so the game is telling you that it's Meryl, but it doesn't come through in the English because it's a completely different voice actor.
Man, that's
Same thing with Solid Snake and Solidus as well. Yeah, Akio Otsuka. Am I saying that?
Yeah.
The way more obvious version
Yeah.
of that.
I'm
My bad.
guessing, and I mean, I'm guessing they don't have like the Russian accents.
I wouldn't have thought so.
I've always wondered that.
Olga's voice in Japanese is like it's extremely girly.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a really dumb question, but I have always wondered how accents work in other languages. So is there like a Russian accent you could hear from a Russian speaking Japanese?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, as far as like accents from like a foreigner, yeah, it's like I have an accent because I'm an American speaking Japanese, so I have an accent when I speak Japanese. But as far as like a Japanese person doing a Russian accent, I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
That'd be
So,
fascinating.
yeah, it's interesting because like Japan has accents like in and of itself. Different prefectures have different accents, but they're definitely not as intense as like some of the different American accents around the country. So I don't know that much about like portraying an accent in a language. So I have to look into that. But I assume I don't think they're as big uh as like giving accents as they are in English.
It's not as much of as like a creative concern like it is for like American
Yeah.
Hollywood movies and things like that.
Yeah. I think part of it maybe is just the fact that it's like, well, they're already speaking Japanese, so it's like they're, it's kind of, you're just supposed to imagine
Yeah.
Right.
imagine it, yeah.
You definitely pull up like the end of the tanker section in MGS2 to check this. Just be like, all right, let's see how this is handled.
Yeah, no, I definitely need to check that out. I have just like an unending list of things I want to look into.
Have you had a favorite game so far that you've played through? Like, has one like really stood out as like, all right, this is the one that I've really enjoyed? Or
I feel like Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite at the moment.
Yes.
I think, and it's so weird to say, but I think it's like Metal Gear Solid 3 almost seems more grounded, which sounds like a weird thing to say about a ridiculous game, but I think because Metal Gear Solid 2 is so over the top, it's so ridiculous, and I just love that about it. Just kind of throws everything at you. It's just like, yeah, like vampires and like force field witches and President Octopus Arm jet boot.
They call Vamp because he's bisexual. Well, why don't they call you that?
Yeah, and so I think as much as I love 3, and I think 3 was better fodder as far as comics go, I also I struggle a bit with more open-ended games because I get kind of overwhelmed when I have a lot of choices. 2 I beat within a week. Like I like could not put 2 down. I was having so much fun. And my streams were like way longer and way more frequent because I was just like, no, I just got to keep playing this.
You are not alone in thinking that 3 was more grounded than 2. A lot of people felt like 3 was in many ways a response to how wild 2 was, and 2 actually got a really negative response when it first came out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I even remember that because it came out when I was, I don't know, like maybe in middle school or something. And I even remember how like everyone was upset about Raiden and everything. But 3 definitely hit me more emotionally. I cried like so much at the end of 3. And I love 3. And it's just kind of hard to compare them almost because 2 and 3 just almost seem like they're just like entirely different games and the way you play them and the way they're kind of laid out. But yeah, I think 2 is my favorite at the moment.
I'm looking at the list of games you're playing, and I see that you've got Acid marked. What are you thinking of that so far?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not a big fan of tactics games, and I'm also really bad at them. And so it's kind of been interesting playing a game that's stealth and tactics, which are like the 2 genres I'm the absolute worst at. But it's so weird. Like it's even weirder than the normal Metal Gear games because it's just like, oh, here's some evil puppets hijacking a plane. Here's your partner. She's a psychic girl. But like the art style is fantastic, and like I've been doing okay with the tactics mechanics because it's like I'm only controlling Snake, so I can kind of like I get overwhelmed like in something like Fire Emblem when I have to keep track of like 8 guys.
Yeah.
I got really frustrated at this one, like I was just at this one level and it's like you're not even supposed to play the level. You're just like supposed to go up to this wall so what's his face can be like, "Oh, you need C4, you got to go." And so I was just like playing this level for like an hour trying to figure out what to do. And then finally I looked it up and it's just like, "Oh, you just were supposed to look at this wall and then leave." So it's been interesting, but I'm like it's interesting enough that I want to keep going through it, but it's a little bit of a struggle.
If it makes you feel any better, they learned from almost all of their mistakes with Acid 2. It is far more accessible.
It's a million times better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Acid 2 is really good, so I'm looking forward. I don't know if I'll finish 1 or not, but I'm gonna keep giving it a few more tries to see, and then but I'll definitely play 2.
It's definitely not an easy like tactics game either. Like I have a hard time with it. Like and Nitroid's told me too. It's like I don't think I'm playing it right. Like I don't know if like am I supposed to shoot these
It's-
guys? Am I supposed to be
Yeah,
stealthy?
no,
Like am I
that's one
supposed
thing
to?
is like
I feel like the doing stealth in that game is way more hard because
Yeah.
it's like you have to do stealth, but you also have to keep track of your turns and your cards and your numbers and also
Yeah.
the enemy's turns.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're trying to be stealthy and then it's like, oh, your turn's over. Now it's their turn and they're going to come around the corner and see you. And it's like, ah.
Yeah,
So
2 gives
it's-
you a lot
it's-
more leeway to sort of sneak around more easily. Like they
Okay.
don't limit your movement as much.
Yeah, because I've kind of just got the point where it's just like, well, I'll kill everybody. Not that I like already didn't do that in the other games, but yeah, no, but they're really interesting. And also like the artwork is gorgeous. The artwork and both the music is also really good. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing to come out of Acid, in my opinion, is the ability to just throw on the soundtrack of it. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Metal Gear Solid 2 B-sides. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, we could keep going down the list of like our favorite comics. Going back
oh my
to the
god,
vibe thing,
that's so embarrassing. You guys are
I love
like,
the
just,
one-
like flattering me too much.
I love the one where they're like, "Oh God, what the fuck?" And it's just Snake, or it's Snake with his alligator cap and a gun. And they're like, "It's a Krog with a gun! Get the fuck out of here!"
I love that hat so much. That was definitely. I wore that hat like as much as possible in the game, and everyone was getting mad at me because I wore it through the entire like Eva escort mission, and the whole time Eva was like, "What is your problem? Are you taking anything seriously?" Like she was so mad, and then when I fought the boss was mad at me for wearing it too. Like everyone hates it.
Everyone was mad, like in the universe and in real life. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one thing that puts me off doing like a croc cap speed run where you get the croc cap and then you don't take it off for the rest of the run. Is the Eva section is so much more annoying while you're wearing it.
Did it like make her do stuff? Because I mean, she was being a jerk, but was she actually like acting?
Yeah, when you like, because you're with her for like 2 sections that you have to move her. When you first call her, she doesn't move fast enough, so the guards like that are chasing will catch you, and it's like game over
Okay.
discovered. So you have to do stuff to circumvent that. You have to put Buck down, and it's just like that one section. If it wasn't for that, I would be doing croc cap runs all the time.
Okay.
I love that cap too.
It's so good. It's like once I got it, I never wanted to take it off. And then just like mixing and matching it with the different outfits. Like there was like the doctor crocodile, and then there's like the military crocodile.
Dot croc.
Why have I never done that?
Yeah, and he said I realized he couldn't climb.
Ladders when he's wearing the officer uniform though, because he just salutes when you try to push the ladder button. So it just had like Officer Crocodile. He just kept saluting and he wouldn't go anywhere.
Oh my
I
god.
like the way that when you turn with it, the jaws of it like snap. It just looks so cool.
So good. It's just like, oh, it's brilliant. I love it so much.
Did you ever see the photos that they did when promoting MGS3? They actually made not out of a real crocodile, thankfully, but they made a full size like crocodile cap that some of the staff wore when promoting the game.
Oh man, no, I haven't seen that. Like, there's just so much stuff that I don't know about because
Yo,
35 years of stuff that is just all in the archives that I need to experience.
Oh, you will never run out.
Maddie's gonna have it in like a week. Watch. Look like my new hat, guys. We're like, whoa.
God, I would love it.
I'm gonna try and find it now.
I love that with that cap, you expect to call like Sigint, and they'll make fun of you for wearing it, and they're all talking about how good of a disguise it is. I like that how they circumvent your expectations like that.
Yeah, it's really good.
This one comic with Snake in the river with like the sorrow, and he eats the snake, and then the snake comes floating back down the river, and he's like looking at it like, I can eat that one too. That little eyeball shift. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. The sorrow thing
Was big because everyone was like kind of like as I was getting to that point because obviously I didn't know what was coming and people are like, have you been killing a lot of people? And I'm like, maybe. And they're like, you should try not to kill so many people. I'm like, okay, I'll try. But then there was like this one part in my stream where like when you're climbing up the mountain and I got like stuck in this little hut and they just kept sending people, like they were sending waves and waves of soldiers at me and I just kept killing them all. And like there were so many dead soldiers that their bodies started disappearing.
Oh jeez.
And so we were joking about like when I got to the sorrow that there'd just be this little hut like full of bodies floating down. But yeah, it's I think my kill count was like 197. So I'm not so good at the stealth, but I ended up getting crocodile rank, so it was perfect. It all made sense in the end.
Yeah, it's really funny how that worked out. You got crocodile
Yeah.
rank after wearing the hat throughout the whole game.
Yeah, that's the reason I got it, of course. It had nothing to do with killing all the people.
Sorry, I'm just looking at Snake like I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed with this pile of bodies behind.
They just can't even get down the river because there's so many people.
This seems a little excessive.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Your doodles, as you call them, have just brought so many people like genuine, real joy. Like
Oh,
I have sat cracked up, like laughing at my computer screen when I've seen them.
I mean, that means the world to me. Like that, those are the reactions that keep me drawing more and more.
I did the
One thing with the sorrow is that since I was playing on an emulator, I didn't have the pressure sensitive controls, so I kept just like slitting guys' throats
Lots of
over and
guys.
over
Oh,
again.
yeah.
And so like during
That'll
the
do
sorrow,
it.
there are just all these guys like walking in a line with their heads hanging off, and I was like, whoops.
Apparently, you can get those to work. I have never had any luck with it, but
Yeah, well, I've
yeah.
heard people like they'll assign them to like the triggers instead, which just sounds like a complicated
Yeah,
mess
I'm not
that I
doing
don't
that.
really want to deal with. Like it's fine. It served its purpose for what I needed to do.
it's not fine. That sounds like a terrible idea. But
Just
yeah,
play on the
apparently you need
Xbox.
like an actual like physical adapter. You can plug in a PS2 controller, or if you get the right drivers, you can get a PS3 controller to work with pressure sensitive
yeah.
stuff.
That sounds like a pain.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I tried, didn't work.
I just play on like the Xbox exclusively now, and all the buttons are remapped, so it doesn't have pressure sensitivity, but the buttons are in different places.
Oh,
So you can-
interesting.
So how does it work? I don't have a 360 that I can play it on. So, or wait, yeah, I do, but I don't have the game.
So like when you grab holding B, when you like grab someone by holding B, you can just hold it down completely and drag them around. And then you
Oh.
press like Y to slit the throat. You press like R3 to interrogate them.
Oh, that's
See, why didn't they
great.
just do that in the freaking PS2
That's what I
version?
keep saying. I keep saying this to you, and you go, "Oh, I like pressure sensitivity."
I
buttons.
like
They
it for how
suck."
quaint it is, but I didn't know that there was a good alternative, you know?
I think the one thing that messed me up a lot, because I think that like your standing, crouching, laying is based on pressure sensitivity.
Right?
On PlayStation it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
so
thought it
just
was like if
kept-
you held it, then you dropped. It wasn't pressure, but if you
Yeah, I always thought it was duration.
Yeah. I got
Stuck a lot where I was trying to stand up and he'd just lie down and I'd just be like, Snake, stop it, stand up. And he's just like wiggling around on the ground where all these guys are shooting at him.
I want to sleep now.
Yeah, that's the worst when you're stuck in the crawl loop and you're just like shifting
Yeah.
directions slightly.
Oh god,
shit.
that was one thing that kept happening during my streams was I would get in these loops where I would like trank a guard and then a guard would wake him up and then I'd trank that guard and I'd get into these like 5-minute loops where they just keep waking each other up and I was like, stop.
Yeah,
Just
for
stay
some-
asleep.
For some reason, they gave like the guards like invincibility frames when they're doing that one animation for waking up the other guard. So you can't
Yeah.
like trank him while he's doing that. So I can see
Oh,
how
that's
that happens.
bullshit.
Yeah, they don't get iframes anywhere else. Just during that for some reason.
Just during that one crucial time where you really need to take them out. Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
It's like when he clicks the button on the radio to say hi. That's another iframe there too.
By the way, check the live chat channel above this, and you can see and scroll up a little bit. And
Oh
you can
my
see a few of the
goodness. Oh,
crocodile
it looks
pictures.
so good.
Yeah,
Gosh.
it's great.
That's just I just want to be that person.
Dreams are dreams.
I know. I just want a crocodile hat.
I was searching Metal Gear Solid 3 crocodile photo in Google, and one of your comics came up.
I wonder, have they ever talked about like the inspiration behind the crocodile hat?
Wasn't it in a movie like a long time ago or something?
Yeah, I think so. Oh God, what was it? Yeah, he talked about this once.
Just so brilliant.
Yeah, odds are if there's something really, really funny in Metal Gear, it's probably inspired by a movie.
Is the cardboard box have an origin?
Oh, wasn't it? I can't remember if it was actually inspired by a Kobo, like an Abe novel or not. But oh shoot, what was it? I'm blanking. Stupid beer.
Oh, is that book that where the guy has like the stuff growing out of his skin or whatever, or is that a different one? He's got like the little like roots growing out of him or something.
It's I haven't read it, but Kobo Abe wrote a book called The Box Man, and I think that was where the idea came from, but that's kind of apocryphal. I don't know if that's actually where it came from. I do know that Kojima reads Kobo Abe, but that's like saying that, person reads popular author.
I was thinking about Kangaroo Notebook. That's the one that I was just talking about. But yeah, it's I think The Box Man is where that one came from. Yeah, Kangaroo Notebook's weird.
Yeah, isn't that was mentioned in Dreaming in an Empty Room, Tim Rogers' article, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. The guy grows radish sprouts like all of a sudden out of his legs, and then he starts like eating them. It's like, what's happening? Yeah.
Oh wow.
But the gist of The Box Man is about a guy that like gives up his identity and starts living life with a cardboard box over his head.
Oh.
You should join me in the box.
That conversation is so uncomfortable.
I love it in Snake Eater too, when he's just like, "Oh man, this is the best in here." He's like talking to Sigurd.
Man, I don't want to know what you mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, I suppose even that dumbass box might make a decent disguise if you wear it inside a building.
Oh man, yeah. I feel like the singing conversations are some of the funniest ones.
Yeah.
Like he just
The
like
dream
cannot.
one.
He like can't handle. Oh my god, that one was just like unbelievable. Singing's weird like poop dream. Oh,
Yeah.
like, I was just like it just like kept going, and I'm like, how is this even a thing? And how is this in this game?
Yeah.
Why is the game trying to make me feel uncomfortable?
But yeah, no, like I think my favorite one is the one where Snake's trying to like he wants to take his pants off, and like Sigurd just like
jeez.
cannot deal with him. It's like leave me
Sigurd is
out
like
of
the
this.
one normal person in that whole game.
Yeah,
What's wrong with
it's
this unit?
great.
Yeah.
Between you and Paramedic, is everyone but me that is hooked up with a Major Strange?
There, I don't know if you've seen these, but there are a series of joke videos that Kojima Productions made using MGS3's engine, where they basically took the cutscenes and either like remade them with different characters or made different things happen.
Yeah. The secret theater.
Yeah, have you seen those?
Yeah, I watched those all on stream. No, that's why I made the rock paper scissors comic because of.
Oh right, I forgot that was one of them. Oh my god, I
Yeah.
completely forgot.
Yeah. No, I watched all of those on stream. Those were fantastic. I like talked about this a lot on stream, but there's always something really wonderful when you're playing a game and you can like feel how much fun the developers had making it.
Mhm.
And that's always just like
Yeah.
such a good feeling. And I got that like watching all those, I was like, oh man, these guys are just having the time of their lives.
Did you ever see any of the like the Hi I'm Daisy comics back in the day?
Yeah. I back in the day, I was familiar with their Ace Attorney and their Persona comics.
Mhm.
And then after playing through, like obviously I don't want to go through the comics because the Metal Gear ones
Sure, yeah.
before I play the games. But I've gone through the first and second Metal Gear comics. I don't know how far their comics went. Just the first 3 games, maybe.
I think so. They
Yeah, I
went
think
to
so. I think they did Portable Ops as well.
Yeah, that was the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, and people have obviously been comparing my comics to theirs a lot. I think the most apt was someone was like, "Oh, these remind me of the Hi I'm Daisy comics, but not as funny." And I was like, "Oh,
Oh
great."
my god.
no, that's
fun.
bullshit.
Sure.
Genuinely, I find your stuff a lot funnier.
Thank you. But yeah, no, it's really flattering to be compared to those comics because Hi I'm Daisy is just kind of like a master of comedy. But then I started getting to a point where it was like after every comic, someone would say like, "Oh, these remind me of Haim Daisy." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Like, please, like, just could you just enjoy these as their own thing?"
That's the thing. Yeah, they're two completely different, like separate. The way that y'all are going about
Yeah.
it and stuff, and
Yeah.
the medium. Just
Yeah.
the style of the drawing and stuff. I mean, it's definitely
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah, so that's just kind of what I want people to understand.
I would love to see like more of this like collab stuff that you've been doing with like Wes and just other voice actors, and like eventually get like a how they did with like Let's Destroy Metal Gear, where it was just like, all right, here's like the full animated thing, or like just pretty much like a compilation of the comics, but in order, I guess, and then like have them voice. That'd be awesome if that came together someday. But that's
Yeah,
kinda
No pressure,
I mean,
Wes.
it's just.
I mean, people just do it people just do it on their own, or they'll ask me, they're like, "Can I voice your comic?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, of course."
Yeah.
And it's just so exciting when people do that, or even people have like been making their own comics, like emulating my style, or people have been doing like fan art and stuff, and it's been really wonderful. But I mean, I think the crazy thing is that Lori Allen quote tweeted the rock paper scissors comic and was like, "Oh, me and David Hayter might be able to like voice this."
That's
Oh my
awesome.
And I was
god.
like, "What the
awesome.
heck?"
Yeah.
And I think because they're doing a signing, like a live autograph signing soon. So I don't know if they plan to do it during that, but like it's just like being noticed like by the actual voice actors is like so insane. And yeah, it's I don't know, it's just all been like crazy.
I'm waiting for somebody to come to you and be like, "Can I get one of your comics tattooed on me?" Like 20% chance it's gonna be Apache.
Yeah, I definitely would.
Yes, get a little scraggly snake.
100%. It'd be Naked Snake.
Dude, it would definitely for me be either Snake with the alligator cap on or riding on the toilet.
Well, yeah, it's awesome that the community is their response to it has been so positive. It's definitely like
Yeah,
well deserved, and
I've been so overwhelmed because yeah, it's just, like I said, I just started playing Metal Gear in like March, and the community has been so welcoming and so nice to me. It's just honestly been overwhelming, and I honestly like the I've had like a handful of negative experiences, but they've been so
Sure.
few and far between that I'm just like I don't know, I'm just so grateful because yeah, the community has just been so welcoming and kind and responsive. It's just been really fantastic.
it's great timing too right now, just with like the gap of actual Metal Gear content that's coming out, and so like now we've got like, oh cool, new Metal Gear comic, and it's like
Yeah,
this
I
new
was kind
thing.
of feeling
we're making
that.
our
I was
own.
like,
I was like, oh, people must be like really starved for Metal Gear content right now. But
Yep.
it like I mean, I don't know what's happened since, and it's like, since I just got into the games, I hadn't even realized that it's been like what, like 7 or 8 years since 5.
Yeah.
And so it's like I don't know if anything has happened since then.
Survive, but yeah,
yeah.
some
Oh,
people just
right.
disavow that, but that's another
That's
conversation.
like the only one because
People are always
You
asking,
like-
they're like, "Oh, are you gonna play this Metal Gear game and this Metal Gear game?" And I'm like, "Yeah. I want to try them all, but Survive is the only one that I'm like, nah, I don't think so."
I get it.
Are you gonna play the pachinko game?
Oh God, I would if pachinko parlors weren't like the scariest thing on the face of the planet. I don't think I could ever go inside a pachinko parlor.
I've heard they're like threateningly loud.
Yeah, they're just like, and they're just full of like weird. They just smell like cigarettes, and they're just full of like weird Japanese businessmen, and they just have this like aura to them that's terrifying. And unless I had like a few like burly people to come with me, then I might like go into one. But yeah, they're weird.
So I guess kind of like an outro because I know we're coming at time, but were you expecting any of this when you like popped in the first game and started playing? Any of this
No.
reaction?
God, not at all. I was not like I sometimes like my personality, I tend to kind of go 0 or 100 with things. Like they either really click or they don't at all. And I was not expecting to fall this hard into Metal Gear. It's kind of taken over my life. But it's been like
Preach.
really
Can't
good in like a
relate.
positive way though, just because of just like the people I've met and just like I've gotten to the point where I've like become more comfortable with myself as an artist, because sometimes I struggle with just like, I just kind of draw funny little squiggles, and I'm always looking at other art that's like really beautiful, and I'm like, oh man, I want to draw stuff like that. But I've kind of accepted myself as, you know, being a humor doodle artist, which is what I enjoy, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And part of it too is it's like I was never like a funny person. I was, in school I was like the smart kid, or like the artist, or like the weird nerd. And so like it's kind of helped me come into this, like, accepting myself as like a humor artist. And
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's just been such a good experience, and I'm just really grateful for Metal Gear and for all the community for just being so awesome.
Yeah, I think we've all been sitting here pretty much with like separate windows open, just like scrolling through your comics and smiling constantly while we've been recording tonight. So
Oh, yeah.
you've definitely like
Yep.
shown like a very bright light in kind of dark Metal Gear times, and we all appreciate you. We appreciate your comics, and hopefully
Oh,
you keep
thank
doing it. And
you.
I can't wait to just see you keep going through the series. I can't wait till you get around the Ground Zeroes era for personal reasons, but yeah, it's awesome seeing the stuff blow up, and you're killing it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
The people that aren't following you already, if you want to like plug where people can find you online and watch your streams and follow you.
Yeah, for sure. I am othatsraspberry on Twitter and Twitch. And if you go to my Twitter page, there's a pinned tweet that has all my Metal Gear stuff. So if you want to look through that, it's right there.
Awesome. And that's That's Raspberry with just a O and no H behind it. So yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so
Yes,
much
it's
for
awesome.
having me.